Welcome to another edition of Friday at 420. My name is Mike Neighbors, and over the next 40 minutes, I've got some great local comics who are going to try their best to make you laugh. And we're starting on a good foot because we had to explain to Manolis that you can't be being Hamilton isn't your country of origin. It's you're Canadian, and then Hamilton is your city, your birthplace.
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, when you grow up in Hamilton, you're
Hamilton first.
You're Hamilton first, Canadian second,
okay.
And then I'm Greek third.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's good.
Okay, but
yes.
you're
Hamilton first.
Hamilton is its own thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Canada is not even Canada. Canada is Hamilton.
You see where this show is going? We put it in the ditch right out of the first. We're not even a minute in yet. My name is Mike Neighbors. I said that part already, but I got to introduce you to the panel. We got a great panel. We got a great show for you. Friday at 420 is here, and we're on the air. And over to my right, as he always is, it's my good friend, Patrick Capolino.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, Patrick. How are you?
I'm very good.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Manolis, you've already heard from. Yeah, just wave it off, Manolis.
T-Connies.
Take an easy, buddy. And way over on the left, a first-timer here on Friday at 420, we would like you to put your hands together and welcome Mr. Dan Brennan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming in, man.
No problem.
So a little bit about you, Dan. Apparently Irish first.
Yes, I was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and
Okay.
We moved to Canada in the late 70s. Now, why my parents wanted to leave Belfast in the late 70s, I could never figure out.
Yeah, that was weird, eh?
yeah,
what with
definitely.
the loud explosions going off? That was
war-torn
fun.
area. Yeah, and then, we moved to Dryden. Does anybody know where
Dryden,
Dryden is?
Ontario.
Yeah.
Way up at the tippity top of
Absolutely.
Superior.
That's where they bring the immigrants in, at least back in the late 70s.
Okay. Yeah, it's cold enough for you.
4 hours northwest of Thunder Bay, there is a duck dynasty in every house.
Yes.
And then, and we eventually moved to Waterdown back before it was part of Hamilton. So I like to think of myself as originally from Waterdown and lucky enough to be associated with the Hamilton comedy scene.
That is quite a journey you took us on there, Dan.
So he's from Hamilton.
So he's, really at the end of the day, everybody's from Hamilton, Manolis. Dan, it's interesting. I remember traveling as a youngster up to Thunder Bay, and you'd get to this godforsaken place. You go, wow, this is like the end of the world. And then they would go, oh, no, you got to see Dryden. So, right? It's like, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I know.
Yeah.
You are way out there. All right. Well, you listen, we finally tracked you down. We got you on this episode of Friday at 420. So let's get right into our game. We'll have plenty of time to chit-chat as we go. The game is played like this for those of you tuning in for the first time. And why wouldn't you have been tuning in before? We are going to Plinko to decide which number envelope our comics get. Random topics in the envelopes. Comics have not been told the random topics ahead of time. And we have 12 of them. So let's see what we're going to do. Dan Brennan, you're the first to Plinko, my friend. Get up there, drop a puck, and we'll see what our first topic is on Friday at 420 on Funny 820.
That's number 6.
Number 6. Excellent. I just ran out of the room because I was actually missing the number 6 envelope. It was lost on my mess of a desk. And luckily I found it because this horrible topic is... hang on, let me see if I got a backup topic here because I didn't like that one when I put it in the envelope. Okay, Dan, this is actually a good place to start with. Not just for you, but really more for Manolis. Dan, where did things go so horribly wrong for you? Go.
That's a great question. Let's see. We can look at several stages. There was the womb.
Was it Dryden?
I think
Things have gone very well for you, Dan. Let's start with that premise.
Well, absolutely. No matter what my troubles in life, I've always considered myself to be a happy person. You're only around for so long.
Yeah.
And you get to a point in your life where you realize no matter how bad a hardship was,
Yep.
a little bit of time goes by and you'll always be able to laugh at that hardship, right? So, yes, I have made many mistakes in my life, but I don't think things are going wrong unless this is an intervention and not a game that I'm not aware of.
Dan, the rest of your family's going to be walking in a minute. You know what? It is. You make a very interesting point. Particularly, I think in what you guys do as comics, you really end up being able to mine some of that tragedy for the humor. I mean, you really do try to turn that into something positive in your life, and that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Does some of that come back? Does some of that come into your show? Do you think about, do you tell stories about yourself, or are you more of a make fun of the news kind of guy?
I'm at that point where I'm still doing a lot of self-deprecating stuff.
Okay.
I think you have to go on stage and be a bit humble. If you come on stage and say, I'm the greatest guy who ever lived, I don't think you're going to get the audience.
Manola's been trying that forever, right?
Yeah. Well, he's had several marriage proposals from his set. What was I saying?
Stories from your past. Does that come into play in your writing? Or
mostly my love life and lack thereof.
Oh, perfect.
It's funny how you can take something that is an absence in my life
That's right.
and turn it into content, right?
Gets so much. Manolis, where did things go so horribly wrong for you, my friend?
Oh, there's
several points, much like Dan.
Yeah, it was a whole book, but I mean, just because Dan's here, like horribly wrong. Was doing his room. What was that? Like the 3 weeks?
2 Mondays ago.
2 months.
Yeah.
I was on stage, and this guy I guess you could a heckler.
You would call him a heckler. I wouldn't have called him a patron because he hadn't actually bought a
drink.
I think he came in to use the bathroom and decided to sit down.
And then he said, I'm going to go next or something he said to you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he said, Dan's like, no, you're not going next. It's a book show, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, this other comic, I'm like, this guy's going to be trouble. So then I go up and then he decided to leave in the middle of my set. And I said something like, oh, even he didn't like that joke. He's like F this guy, meaning him saying that he's thinking about me.
Yeah.
So then he chose to say, it's like, what you say to me? And I go, no, dude. What I was trying to explain was, he goes, what you say? You say F me? And I went like I knew he was pretending.
Right. Hey, he was baiting you.
Yeah, I'm like, I go, yo, bud. Just so you know, I'm up for a fight. So if you want, if you want to do
Classic
this,
Manolis,
I go right. I went right to 10. I'm like, let's do this.
Let's do this.
I said to him, remember, I said, you think I don't want to die? And then I said, do you see? And I'm like, but I'm livid now. I'm just like, I'm like, because when you're in a position where like there's like when I do a real club, it's an open mic.
It's the line said, yeah.
I can't, you can't really do what you want all the time because you work there and you shouldn't be fighting anybody.
No,
right?
You got to go back there. This is where you're making a living. This is what you're doing.
So
Nobody comes into my work and
I'm just there trying
tease off on me.
Yeah, I'm just there trying to like just work on some new jokes and have a good time. I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
So now you're getting in my grill. So I said to him, do you see fear in my eyes? Do you think I fear you?
My favorite line was when Manolis asked him, do I look like a weak person to you?
Yeah. Yeah. I go. I said, go, yeah. And I said, go find someone weak. Yeah. And then his whole demeanor changed right away. And he was like, and then he just sauntered off.
And that was it. And that was the last we saw of Patrick that night.
Yeah.
But that is where one of the things went wrong for that guy. I think it was more of an opportunity for me. It was when things went right. But for me, I'm like, I love, you always feel good to be able to get vent.
And take control of what this is something you can do because of your years of experience. This is where you are at, right? So this isn't an example of where things went wrong. This is an example of how you've achieved and the success you've had at being able to maintain control over a room, being able to take down a guy with just your words.
Yeah,
awesome.
I literally put the fear of God into him, so he chose to leave. I really wanted him to do something though, but.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
Dan's glad he didn't. He didn't want to get
completely.
You got to clean up a mess afterwards. And,
But I mean, I don't mind like doing banter, but when the guy's going at me like he wants to kill me, like I'm like I don't want to dance either, man.
No.
So let's.
If you're gonna do it, let's do it. You've called people out before, Patrick. Well, what happens in that situation for you?
When people call me out?
Yes, when there's would you take the same approach as Manolis, or do you try to talk it down, or what do you do?
I don't know. I'd probably just start stuttering. Ask him not to hit me.
And that's where it went so horribly wrong for Patrick.
See, when he said, go find someone who's weak, he came straight to me. And he beat the crap out of me.
That was it. That's why you guys chum out together. That's it. That's good. That's good. Where did it go so horribly wrong for you, Patrick? It's just a fun topic. Whatever you want to
Well, what time is it?
What time is it? This is therapy.
When I was 21.
21.
Yeah, which should have been a good time.
It should have been.
No, but around that time, my ex became pregnant with my
Right,
now child.
right.
My joke on stage is the best thing to ever accidentally happen to me.
Yeah.
And she really is. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But
Absolutely.
at that time when my ex was pregnant with her, it was just bad. Me and Manolis were working at that all-day breakfast restaurant we've talked about before.
Right.
And then they just locked up shop around the same time.
So you lost your job.
Like, yeah, I literally found out she was pregnant, and then like 2 days later, the shop closes up, and they never got my last pay for that either. I had lost my license as well, and then I had to sell my car, and then we had to start saving for the baby. So, I lost my apartment as well, and then we moved into her parents' place in the middle of nowhere.
Crazy. It's crazy how things can tumble out of control on you.
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was like
and
all in like the same
you're
month.
not. I mean, there wasn't anything you were doing. Well, you did one thing, but other than that, there wasn't anything you were doing to make all this. It's just sometimes you get on a bad roll, right?
Yeah.
And and then I started losing my hair. It was all
It
was all coming to an end.
Everything was leaving.
Yeah.
Quickly. No,
I love that this is all true.
this is it is.
Yeah, he was around for all of it.
But this is real, right? I mean, this is the real life that you guys go through, that we all go through. We all go through these things, and it's funny because I had a conversation with my kids. You know, I don't know if you watch sports, and I know you're not a huge sports guy, but when you watch football and stuff like that, and you look for if your team's down, you look for a momentum changer, right? You look for something to spark life, and they can change everything. The momentum changes, and suddenly this team is just nothing can go wrong for them, and the other team's like, what the hell happened? And I said to my daughter, because she was going through a hard time, and I said, you need to change the momentum. You need something big or different, or do something, change your hair, whatever, change the momentum. And I think that it applies, but you know, as things are unraveling, it's pretty hard to, it's easy to say that. Yeah. It's pretty hard to make that happen. I want you to give a little bit of advice to somebody who may find themselves in the same situation as you. If you were sitting there suddenly, you're a young man. We have a lot of young men who, young women who listen to the station, but you're a young man or a young woman, and you find yourself pregnant, and you're not really prepared for that. What would you say to them looking back with hindsight?
Do stand-up comedy. Joke about it. No, but honestly, that just it lit a fire under me.
Yeah.
To really work a lot harder, and then good things started happening
quickly
after. So
started putting things together, and it truly is
just the motivation I needed. Yeah.
It truly is the greatest blessing in the world, having a kid.
Oh yeah.
You know, if Manolis knew any of his, he'd be thrilled.
They might not be, but
oh yeah. Oh no, they definitely wouldn't be.
Well, that's the thing. If I could go back, I wouldn't do anything different.
Nothing at all. That's excellent. All right, Manolis, get up there in Plinko. We've started off with our little therapy session. This is quite often Friday at 4:20 turns into a little bit of therapy for the boys. That's good. And number 8. So let's get into number 8. Here we go. Number 8, topic number 8 on Friday at 4:20. Our special guest, Dan Brennan. Manolis.
Yes.
Looking for the.
Trying to fix the Plinko board.
Oh, excellent.
I get pulled away from things
very easily. Squirrel. Manolis, do you have a hobby? Okay, all right. We know.
Does that count as a hobby?
We know you didn't get the Brazzers sweatshirt by accident. Do you have a hobby?
Do I have a hobby?
Yeah, a hobby outside of that.
Of that.
Is there something, model trains? You look like a model train guy. No?
I used to.
Any kind of hobby that you collect hockey cards? You collect anything? Are you a collector at all?
I do like albums.
Okay.
I like
vinyl.
But I had this hobby when I used to be a lifeguard at a rec center.
Yes, you did.
And
Pinky Lewis
Rec Center. Yes. Well, I saw this movie on TV where this father and son. It was remember the what's his name? What you talking about, Willis? Remember that guy?
Oh yeah. Todd Bridges.
And it was the guy from and it was the father was Benson from the TV show Benson, where the butler was running the White House. Benson.
Oh yes, that Conrad guy. Yeah. His name's Conrad.
Okay, so those two were in a movie together where there was a father and son, and where he loses his son, and I remember it was the first time in my life where I cried at a movie. It was weird, because he's getting pulled away from his. Anyways, so there's a scene where they play checkers in the park.
Right.
And it just stuck. I'm like, I thought, oh my God, that's why. Or I think they're playing chess.
Chess. That's the coolest thing, right?
Like there's a little table just dedicated to chess.
Yeah,
like
you see that
chess.
New York City has a bunch of parks with people do that. And
So I had this idea where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a checker table or a chess table for kids to play in the rec center. So I find these old end tables where they have like fancy legs, and I put like crazy designs on it, and then I put a checkerboard
Right.
on, glued it on, and then I made funky stools for them. So I made one, and then before I knew it, I made like another 6, and then which was really interesting because it was North End kids. So I figured everybody just play checkers, but eventually all the kids would just start playing chess more than checkers.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because chess is a real thinking game, right?
Yeah.
It takes some.
Well, there was a couple of kids that knew how to play it, so they would teach all
Teach
the
the
other
others?
kids. So
Created this awesome situation.
yeah. So then and then all the rec centers through the city of Hamilton found out about it, and then next thing you know, I started making them for all the rec centers.
Excellent.
So you
Professionally making chess tables and funky chairs for rec centers
from scratch.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
you're a you're a woodworker. Would be the short answer.
yeah, I'm usually working with wood, I guess. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all your hobbies working with wood.
They all relate.
That's good. I like that.
That was a hobby, I guess. And then I lost my job.
Patrick Coppolino, do you have a hobby?
I'm not a handyman. At
Okay,
all.
yeah.
I don't make stuff.
You don't make stuff.
Cooking, I guess.
Yeah, cooking. Well, that's a hobby. That
Yeah.
can be a hobby, right? If you're not doing it for money, then
money,
you're doing it because you love to improve on your cooking and try new things and create new recipes. I even saw that you get your daughter involved. She was cooking.
Oh, she loves it now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
fun.
cool if you can teach your kids to cook.
Yeah.
Because then the sooner they learn, you don't have to cook for them anymore, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Really smart. Anything else? You collect anything when you were a kid? I know you were a big video game guy. Did you collect Pokemon cards or something like that?
Yeah, I did that when I was a kid.
Yeah, I
I did. Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, I was huge into video games. Oh, my hobby, when I was younger, that I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life was I would do animations and design video games.
Right, yeah.
So
You
I was a really
made
cool
your own
kid at school.
Made your own
You know
video
that?
games.
I spent a lot of time in my basement.
It was right before he hit 21, and
Yeah.
then whoosh,
And it all went down.
it all came out from under him. Dan Brennan, what do you do for a hobby? You guys must have a hobby.
I'm about to panic here and say reading, but
Well, readings. Some people use reading as a great way to de-stress, right?
Yep, absolutely. But with 2 jobs, 2 kids, and out as often as I can doing comedy, is not a lot of time for a hobby. But the one thing outside of all of those things that brings me joy is being able to sit down and watch Liverpool Football Club. on a Saturday afternoon. Just
soccer
particulars-
fan.
Absolutely. And this season we've got a particularly good team. We might win a few things, so it's
very exciting.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because now you would you consider comedy a hobby?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was actually Manolis who said to me very early on, he said, you got to think of comedy as a full-time hobby. I've only been at it for 3 years.
Look at you
Long
go,
way to go
Manolis.
before anything could happen. But that really changed my way of thinking, that it is something substantial. It is something, it now has a category, a way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right? And how much effort you put into it is how much joy you'll get back.
So it doesn't become negative. Like if you it's not like be serious about it, but if you you want it to be something you love, and if something more comes from it, great. But if not, it's still something you just do. Like you love doing hobbies.
Because and that's how I always think of it. Right, is you sit there and you go, something's going on, blah 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 blah, and you go Sunday afternoon. Oh, I got 3 or 4 hours. What is it that you go? Oh man, 3 or 4 hours. That'd be great. You sit down, you maybe write some new material, work out some new ideas or whatever, because you love doing it. Right. That's truly a hobby, right?
And you got to keep that. You got to keep that love for it because. Early on I realized how many comedians were more negative and depressed
because things don't start going there and they're trying. They think they're going to jump in. I'm going to start making stuff happen.
Everybody wants fame so
stuff
fast.
Doesn't happen
or thinks it's just going to
and
happen.
then they get down on themselves and then the whole thing becomes a negative experience when it should be just the joy of being able to get up and make a bunch of people laugh. It's pretty cool no matter where or when it is.
It's so easy to compare yourself to everybody else that's got something that you don't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why bother, man?
So, which is what you always go back to that point yourself, right? It's like if you think you're having a bad day, compare yourself to Manolis.
Yeah.
And it'll be a better day for
I
you.
compare myself to myself, then I just cry more.
Patrick Coppolino, get up and Plinko, my friend. Here we go. It's Friday at 4:20. A brand new topic. Boom. 7. Oh, we had a chorus of 7 there. That's awesome. That's like we're being trained now. All right. Well, I think I know the answer for you, Patrick. You just divulged it. But would you rather cook or clean?
Cook.
I didn't even take it. Not even a heartbeat,
but
eh?
you know what? Since I started cooking, I actually don't mind the cleaning part.
You don't mind the cleanup?
I used to hate doing dishes. Now it's just like I like a clean kitchen now.
Do you do it as you go, or do you wait till the end?
No, I started doing. The
have
worst
to
thing
do
you
it
could
as you
do is
go, right?
pile it all up.
Because that there are some, and I would think probably more particular guys, but I know there are lots of women who've complained about the fact that, my husband will go in the kitchen and cook, but he dirties every single pot and pan. They're all laid, and then he's like, done. And then he eats and leaves.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well,
no.
I do think it's fair if the person who didn't cook cleans.
I think so.
But I don't mind doing both.
You don't mind? And I totally agree with you. Dan, you clean as you cook?
That's one of the things I've learned to do. Yeah,
Yes.
Because, I tend
Otherwise
to overeat, and then that's the last thing you want to do is get up and do more
And it's
work,
overwhelming at the end,
But
right?
that's-
All that
I will
stuff.
admit, though, that's the biggest thing I clean, though. Like the rest of the place.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never clean my bathroom, my living room, my bedroom. I barely do my laundry.
Manolis, would you rather cook or clean?
Clean. But
Clean.
but I have an agenda when I clean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's your agenda?
No, I'm not cleaning the pipes, Patrick. That's mandatory.
That's his hobby.
That's my hobby. I love my hobby.
What's the agenda when you clean?
You gotta, like, if you're in a relationship, you gotta start like you like if you do the dishes or whatever needs to be tidied up, you do that without her even mentioning it, and then it just turns into a sexual situation.
Oh,
Because,
right.
Like.
Yeah, because she appreciates it.
She's like, oh my God, this
guy's doing all this
stuff
stuff for me. This is awesome.
I don't have to do it. You know what? I think I have time for.
Yeah, time.
I think it just. I remember there was a movie with Jennifer Aniston and what's his name?
You're great at movie trivia, by the way.
From Swingers, the guy from Swingers,
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
And they get in fights. Like, what do you mean? I'll do the dish. I was like, you don't understand. She goes, it's not that I need you to do the dishes. I want you to do the dishes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Dude? You gotta want it.
Wasn't that the one where they were split up, but they
did bang.
It was a breakup.
They did have.
They had carnal knowledge of each other, but that's all. Manola's got to that part. I was like, okay, I've seen it.
So
Been there, done that.
I picked cleaning.
You pick cleaning. Dan, cooking or cleaning?
Cook.
Cook. You like to cook, do you?
I do like to cook, and I've really gotten away from it. But when I lived in England, my routine on a Sunday was I'd go down and get the Sunday papers and whatever I needed to do a roast and do a proper Sunday roast.
Oh,
And
right.
just whatever sport was on the TV, stick it on in the background.
and it would cook all day. Right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Put a
yeah.
ham in there, put it on low, let it cook for 3
Yeah.
hours, and then get the roast potatoes in. I've got a great recipe for roast potatoes if anybody needs.
Excellent.
And
Ask him on Facebook.
yeah. And it was just, it's very peaceful. It's
It
very
is.
peaceful. And there was a point in my life where we kept chickens and things like that.
Okay.
And that homestead idea,
Yeah.
getting up every morning, having the routine of feeding the chickens and making sure they had water and all that stuff. I love that. I found that I was at peace with the world when I was in that.
And I think,
situation.
and this probably goes back to Patrick's feeling on cooking as well. But it is, you guys are talking about cooking, about taking your time, preparing, like giving yourself time,
Yeah.
enjoying the process.
It's not just making
Yeah.
food because you're hungry.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not anybody can microwave a pizza pocket.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is preparing a meal.
Absolutely,
And that
yeah.
can be a very cathartic
Oh, it
experience.
is. Yeah. And you feel accomplished when you're done.
You do feel that sense of accomplishment, don't you? And you've made your own pasta before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this goes back to the cleaning thing because I had a pasta maker. But if you don't clean it out, the pasta turns into like rock hard. So the next time you go to turn it just falls apart. Right?
Is it just horrible?
Yeah.
I have a pasta maker as well. His name's Patrick.
Hey.
Hey, there you go. Just plug him in. One of the things I will say about cleaning, because there was a long period of time where when I took over, I was the cleaner of the house, and I had kids, and then kids, man, they make a mess. But the only thing I tried to do was I tried to turn it into a game. So, at least make it into something. So I didn't necessarily have an agenda, but I would see sort of if I was upstairs cleaning in the kitchen and I had to change a load of laundry, I would see how fast I can get down there, switch the laundry up, get it started again, and get back upstairs. I would time myself like an Olympic event. It at least made it semi-interesting. to, and then see if I
that's
could better
smart.
my time. So yeah, so you can kind of have some fun. I try to
Absolutely.
inject some fun into something that is horrible, right? And although now you've probably let your bathroom go too long, Patrick, I don't know anyone wants to go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be too late.
But I live with a woman.
There you go. That's fantastic. Whose turn is it to play? I believe we're back to Dan.
You again.
That might have sounded misogynistic. But I meant it like her standards are higher than mine, so she will clean it.
That's right.
I don't mean I make her clean it because she's the woman.
Thank you for cleaning that
Yes.
up and keeping me from getting an email. That's fantastic. What number?
Number 5.
Number 5. Dan the Man Brennan. Here we go. Number 5. Dan from Waterdown.
Originally.
The first club you ever played, and how did it go?
Oh, well, the first club I ever played was the amateur night at Yuck Yucks that Patrick was
In
hosting
Hamilton,
back
okay.
in the day
Yep.
before it became Levity.
Yeah. Much better now
Comedy
that
Club
it's
and
levity.
Lounge. Patrick, a wonderful world. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm like, I wonder what it would take to get on the amateur night there. Sent an email on a Monday. Patrick, being the well-planned, organized guy that he was, messaged me back on the Tuesday and said, you're on Wednesday.
Later.
Right? So I'd been writing down ideas that I thought were funny for a year. I had 100 things on that piece of paper. I printed it out. I read them. They were all crap. I tried to come up with something new. Practiced it in front of the mirror at least 20 times. Sat in Jackson Square practicing it. Put my piece of paper in my pocket. Went on stage. Could not see a thing. This is a very common thing for everyone who goes on stage the first time. You can't see anything. I lasted about 3.5 minutes. I pulled my piece of paper out of my pocket because I had no idea what was going on. I read the last joke on it and walked off stage. But
That was
knew that up until this point, I had wasted my life. That I had gotten so much joy out of doing that.
That is so awesome, right?
And this is how much respect and love I have for Patrick. As I walked off stage, he said, "Was that your first time?" And I spend at least an hour a day thinking about what he meant by that. Did he mean that was pretty good for a first time?
Yes.
Or the much more obvious, God, you're old.
I probably asked so I could tell them so they can cheer for you again.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
That's awesome. And so that experience is obviously sort of stuck in your mind that first time, that freshness of it.
Absolutely.
How nerve-wracking. I mean, what did that day feel like? Because
Well, I wasn't so bad until I got downtown, and this happens to me a lot before I go on stage.
Even still, right? Yeah.
There's a voice in my head that pops up and says, "You can't do this."
yeah, don't
And
do
it's
it.
not saying I can't do this; it's saying you can't. Do
Right,
this. So I don't know whose voice it is, but I often have to convince myself. And, it usually takes a few seconds to say, "Oh, stop it! You've done this before.
Yeah.
You've got an agenda tonight. You're gonna work on this joke and everything. Everything's gonna be fine. Just get up there." But I don't think there's anything wrong with that nervousness.
No.
It shows that you care.
Yeah.
Maybe keeps you alert. So
It's just uncomfortable, that's all.
Yeah,
It's just a
yeah,
long
yeah,
day
yeah.
sometimes. And Manolis, going way back into the books here for you, buddy. First time, and what do you remember about it?
I remember that I was.
We're talking about comedy, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. I was 9.
If that's the other thing, I'm still
She
waiting.
was 32.
I was. I told a friend of mine that I wanted to try it, and then he said, "Oh, you're on this Wednesday." Kind of same thing. I was like, "What?" And I just remember being so nervous, and I had like a 5-minute routine kind of that I was using at bars to make girls laugh. I didn't realize it's all I knew, so I just did it on stage. I didn't realize it was actual material.
Oh, okay. So you had you'd already been trying out some,
I had
not
it.
really lines, but some bits and stuff and things,
was
stories that you'd tell girls to make them
Yeah.
want to come home with you.
Yes.
And you've been doing that ever since.
Since it's never
That's
stopped.
really his
But
job.
I remember I remember just waiting to go on, and as soon as I was like I felt like I was gonna have like a nervous breakdown, before I went on, and then as soon as I started talking and got a couple laughs, it was like
Like Dan, it's like this.
game
Why
changer.
have I not been doing this forever?
Yeah, it was like literally, it's because it's cheesy to say this, but I know I kind of meant it in a way, but it was stupid. Like people were like, "Oh, what are you up to?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a comic now." I did one show. I was telling people I was a stand-up comic. One show.
that's quite common too.
That's work that into the pickup line. Good for you. Well, at least he had a job.
But I was lucky enough that it's on set. My first set's on YouTube, if you want to check it out.
It's still there.
Yeah, I put it. I just recently. I had it on. I was lucky enough that I had it on videotape. My first set is on both, and my second. The only reason I put my second set on YouTube is because Russell Peters introduces me.
Oh wow!
So it's like 20. So
that is cool.
So
eh?
20 years. Both sets are like literally now about 21 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. So my second set ever, because I was already kind of friends with Russell at that point.
Right.
And it's like he fumbles my name, but he introduces me, and it's kind of it's
very cool.
It's gnarly.
Patrick, first time, and what do you remember about it?
Mine was also on a Wednesday.
Everybody made their debut on a Wednesday.
I was 18. I was working on the J.R. Diggs show.
Okay.
And are you aware of that show?
Yep.
Yeah. It was a super low budget show. It was just me and him. Literally just the two of us
but
made
did
that show every
wonderfully
week.
well for a low budget show.
Yeah,
just a couple of guys. I mean, it was a really cool show.
Fun
Yeah.
time. And but we so on our breaks in the editing room, we used to just watch stand-up comedy. I had never really understood what it was, like as a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we'd watch it. Funny enough, his was one of the ones that we watched.
Oh,
I remember his
Manolis's
Comedy Now special, because he was telling me Jared knew a bunch of comedians. So then I told him one day, I said, I want to do stand-up comedy, and he thought that was hilarious because I had the personality of a piece of cardboard.
Because you're an introverted guy, and you don't. I mean, you're not the guy that everybody goes,
Yeah.
"Oh man, the class clown."
Yes.
You were like, "No, I'm telling the class clown what to say."
He tried to call my bluff on it, so he called someone he knew that at the Red Rooster, which is not a thing anymore, I don't think, in Burlington.
Okay.
It was like a rock venue or whatever, and he's like, "Okay, I'll put a show together, and I'll put all the comics I know on it." And he's like, "And you'll be on it." And I think he did it to watch me fail.
Crazy.
But he had never booked a show before, like a comedy show before. And
Yeah.
he ended up hosting it, and I think it was like 4. Manolis was on it. That's how we met, actually, at that show. And the show was like 4 hours long or something. It was he booked like 9 comics to do like 15 minutes each. And
It was a horror.
It was packed.
It was.
and it was packed. It was actually rammed. But by the time I got on, it was like, I don't know. It started at 7. I got on at like midnight or something. But
You had more than I did. You still had meat on the bones.
Oh, yeah,
I went up at the end and it was like 10 people.
yeah, but there was easily probably 200-300 people when it started.
That's
And,
awesome.
Did you do 15 minutes
No,
your first time out?
No, I only did like 5 to 7 or something
Right,
like that.
right.
And my memory of it was that it didn't go that great, but I remember that feeling. It was the first time I'd ever done something like that in front of a group of people, and like I got such a rush out of it, and that moment really did change the rest of
That's
my life.
awesome.
I watched his first set and I remember just thinking like, oh, this guy is a comic.
Yeah.
I knew right away. I was like, oh, this guy he knew how to write. The way he wrote his jokes was really very well written, and I was like, okay, this guy's funny.
He already knew.
I already like, all right, I like this dude.
But you've kind of been like that for so many comics in Hamilton, where you've been able to sort of pick out the ones and go and say to them right away, you know what? You got something, right? Yeah.
I have a good eye.
Yeah. A good ear. I don't want to know how cute they are, Manolis. I want to know what they sound like, brother. That's very interesting. And Patrick, you are still, all these years later, lining up Wednesday nights at Levity Comedy Club and Lounge.
Yep.
We still have our amateur night there. Manolis sometimes will jump out and do some work on some new material. And so listen, we only got about 8 minutes left. I could go for another topic, but I would like to actually, since it's a comedy station, lots of people who listen to us love comedy and actually have thought about doing it. So I would like to just go around the horn one time and just say, give me some advice, because Dan, you're coming from a really unique place. You were a little older when you decided to try it. So what would your advice be for somebody who's listening right now, hasn't done it, but has always thought, geez, I really should?
Be nice. Don't be entitled. My one piece of advice, because we all get stuck, especially when you're starting out, or at least I did, where your mind goes blank, and that can cause panic.
Sure.
You have more time with the silence than you think.
Right.
If it takes you 2 seconds to find yourself and continue the show, that's fine. Don't panic. Even if it takes you 5 seconds of complete silence, if you were to stand there for a minute, they might start laughing, right? So just when you're in that situation, you're like, oh my God, my mind is blank. Just take a moment to find what it is that you're trying to say, and don't worry about the pause.
And I really like that you said be nice, because I think there's a sense, certainly among some, that I'm going to be edgy, and I'm this will be my answer to if things aren't going well or whatever, to be kind of a little bit mean spirited and mean spirited in the jokes you write, and that's It's what those are. You could succeed with mean-spirited jokes, but you've got to be really good at it that the crowd stays on your side.
Yeah, I remember I did some racially based stuff one night, and then a much older comic, Chris Jarvie, said to me afterwards, like I hadn't even engaged him in conversation. He just looked at me and goes, "Yeah, I think you got to be really good to do the racial stuff."
That's awesome, eh? Manolis, you've been doing it the longest in the room here. You've seen a ton of amateur comics, both crash and burn, and have some success. So, what do you always think to or tell amateur comics, especially ones who haven't tried it yet? What would you suggest to them?
I would suggest that don't worry so much about like tanking. Like, don't worry about like, if I
crashing and burning.
You have to. I always say you're not getting paid.
Right.
You're not a professional.
Right.
You're learning. No one does anything at the beginning is amazing. Even if you have a good set, it doesn't mean you're amazing. You just lucked out and worked out. You're gonna tank anyways eventually.
Yeah.
So and if you're up there and the first joke doesn't work, just go on to the next joke.
Yeah.
Then do that one, and then go on to that. And if you can get one of those jokes, if you get one laugh out of 5 minutes, you're doing all right.
Because quite often they get so far ahead of themselves because they've watched comics and read about comics, and so they're thinking to themselves, "Whoa, but if I lose the room, or you haven't even got the room, you're not at the room level yet, right? Just get up there and work through some bits and remember what felt good and what didn't feel good.
Yeah, and just figure it out and just enjoy it. And if you people think like if I don't do well, you fail, but you're doing something that everybody is afraid of. The fact whether you kill or tank, is still
you're a success for getting up.
Yeah, you're a success for just having the courage to doing something that everybody's afraid of doing. So just relax, dude, and enjoy yourself.
Patrick, you're the guy who lines up the amateur talent. What do you tell the first timers? I call you, I'm on the phone with you, and I'm like going, I've never done this before.
Patrick doesn't speak to them.
Patrick's got people for that.
Yeah, they talk to my people. No, I always tell them just to do it. Everyone always asks me, like, what's your advice?
Yeah.
Or like people are afraid of getting booed. Like he said, like don't worry about bombing.
Yeah.
In my 10 years of doing comedy, I've never once in person have seen a comic get booed.
Right.
Like a professional or an amateur.
Yeah.
Ever. I've never seen it. So and like because nobody cares, and everyone thinks like, oh, if they bomb. That's going to hang over them forever. Like the next comic comes on, they've already forgotten about you. No one cares.
Right.
But also, I will say, from hosting that show and stuff, also know when it's not for you. You know what I mean? There's some people who hang on a little too long.
That's like those American Idol auditions where the person can't sing, right? Who told you you could sing?
Like, try it, absolutely.
But
and
understand,
try it for 2 years.
Be self-aware.
Yeah. But when it's not, like there was people when I started that were already a few years in. They're still going.
And still just swinging and missing more often than not. And what do you do with that?
I don't know. I think that goes back to their hobby.
Yeah. I'm actually more impressed with that than
than the people who give up.
The fact that you can because those kind of people that you're talking about, they're not doing well
ever
on
for like 20 years.
And then like they're not doing well, and then they're like every time they do a set, they're like, I think that went pretty good. Like, no.
There's some of these people that have been doing the same 5 minutes.
Oh my Lord!
From when I started, that they've been doing 5 years previous to that. So
yeah, is this part? This is the intervention part for Dan that we're doing right now.
Dan.
Me and Dan.
Yes.
I'm still trying to find one joke.
Just one damn joke. That's all I need. Guys, that was very intuitive stuff, and I appreciate that. That's really cool for our audience, for the people who are fans of stand-up comedy. I think whether you have ever wanted to try it, and maybe now you'll call Patrick at Levity Comedy Club and Lounge and say, you know what, I would like to try to get on an amateur night. Or if you're just a fan and just want to understand a little bit about behind the curtain, I think it's always kind of cool when you guys can share some of those personal experiences, and that really opens up what stand-up comedy is on a very basic level. So
if you get a hold of me too, I will go through your first 5 minutes and work with you before you do it even.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're gonna regret saying that.
No, I don't.
I've would-be female comics.
There's
not for the
guys. Yeah, I've been lying to you.
I've done it a bunch of times.
Yeah,
I've been lying to you the whole time, man. There's no one listening to this show.
There's no one more generous than Manolis, to be
There
fair.
isn't. Generous soul, and he will. And by the way, before you leave, I want that Terry Fox shirt. That is a very cool T-shirt you're wearing, brother. I love Terry Fox.
I love Terry Fox.
Terry Fox and I have the same birthday. exact same day and year.
Oh.
And I actually met him on our birthday when he was running across Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I wished him a
Wow.
happy birthday, and he just left me in the dust.
Manolis has a great Terry Fox T-shirt story.
Oh, do
we
you?
have
Okay,
time?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah, sure, we'll
And it
squeeze
involves
it in.
a comedian.
Ari Shafir?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I knew if I gave him a Terry Fox T-shirt that he would wear it in the States and everybody would like think he's Canadian.
Yeah, right.
See, I didn't tell him that because he didn't know who Terry Fox was.
Okay.
He didn't understand why does this guy have one leg? So he's in a grocery store, and someone goes, "Hey, what part of Canada are you from?" "Oh, I'm not from Canada." It's like, "Oh, what's with you wearing Terry?" Like, yeah, my comedian buddy gave it to me. He's like, "Oh, what's his name?" It's like Manolis.
No,
Like,
didn't already say, you won't know who he is.
yeah, you won't know who he is. He goes, "Oh, what's his name?" He goes, "Oh, Manolis." Goes, "Oh yeah, I know Manolis
Yeah, he goes from Hamilton.
from Hamilton, right?" And
What are the
And
chances?
Ari Shafir is a famous comedian
Yes.
too, right? So Ari actually messaged me on Facebook to tell me this because he was just shocked that
Yes.
this even happened.
That is awesome. That's a really cool story. All on the Terry Fox shirt. Dan Brennan, thank you so much for hanging out with us, playing our little game.
Thank you for having me.
I
That was great.
certainly hope you had a lot of fun,
did.
and everyone will be looking for you when you're playing around locally, and
Please do.
sometimes you even line up some shows. So,
Yeah.
what's the best way for people to follow you on social media, find out where you're going to be and where your shows are going to be?
At Comedy Things, Dan Brennan is my Instagram, and then it's just Dan Brennan on Facebook.
On the
There's a
rest of
picture
it.
me holding a participation trophy, so you'll know it's me.
At Comedy Things, Dan Brennan, if you want to follow him on Instagram. Manolis, how do we follow you on social media?
Manolis Santanos on everything. I'm always at Levity Comedy Club on Wednesdays, and there's a new show on TV that I think people should watch called Cavendish. It's
From the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
couple of guys in PEI.
Yeah, is it
CBC?
CBC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know them?
I know those guys, and there's
Very funny show.
very funny show. Please watch it.
Watch Cavendish on the CBC. And Patrick Coppolino, I know Levity Comedy Club and Lounge is where you are Wednesday. Well, you hang out there all the time. Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays, you have pro shows. I know 2 shows on Saturdays.
Yep.
Trivia night Mondays.
Yep.
Have I got it all?
That's all of it.
That's all of it. LevityComedyClub.ca or .com.
Yeah, we got both now.
We got them both locked down, brother. Please visit. It's Hamilton's newest and best comedy club on King Street, right above the Anchor Bar, downtown Hamilton. And how do we follow you on social media, Patrick Coppolino?
At Chris Adoranti.
At Chris Adoranti. And that does it for another edition of Friday at 420. Thank you to you for not only listening to our little show here, but for supporting local comedy. Get out there, support the comedians doing what they love to do and making you laugh. And until we get a chance to talk to you again in 7 days, have an awesome weekend.